Oh man, I love that thing. Every episode gets me pumped up. Episode 134, folks, of the FLA podcast. Welcome. Hope everybody's doing great. Again, this episode is sponsored by our friends in Prince Edward Island. Support local folks, especially during this time of year. Maritime Madness. Check them out online, maritimemadness.com. Use the code FLA10 to save 10% and receive free shipping over $35 in Canada. Over 30 flavors to choose from, rubs, hot sauces, one chunk challenges, apparel, all that kind of stuff. Give them a follow. Purchase some product. Let's get right into it here, folks. We got a fantastic episode. Every episode's fantastic, but I'm always interested as a jiu-jitsu guy. I'm always interested to speak with athletes from every kind of martial art, but especially boxers, because it's obviously the sweet science, but one for me that is, it's pretty foreign to me because, I'm pretty much a strict grappler kind of guy and don't really like getting punched in the face. So I'm always love talking to these guys who have really done a lot in the combat sports scene, especially out here in the East Coast. And this guy is just getting a start on it. Another 24-year-old up-and-coming guy, 3-0 as an amateur out of St. John, New Brunswick. He's the assistant head coach at East Coast Boxing. As well, he's a football coach. He's, he's kind of getting involved in a lot of different things right now, and he's always been a big supporter of our brand. And love to bring him on. Have a good chat with him, Mr. Corey Morrell. How are you, sir?
Good, brother. How are you?
Awesome, man. Good. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Yeah, of course, man. I'm happy to be here. It's awesome.
Yes.
I've been, honestly, since I seen you guys doing these podcasts, I was like, I'm gonna get in there one day. Like he's gonna,
Nice.
I'm gonna keep bugging him until he gets me in.
No, man, you know what? The thing is, it's this community. That's what it's about, man. Like it's everybody. Like it's talking to everybody in this whole sport. Like that's what I love about this whole podcast. I meet so many different people, and that's what I love about it. Hearing everybody's story and why they get into this whole goddamn game that we're into. And I'm a little bit older than you, but you know what? Like we'll get right into it, I guess, Corey. Like I do with everybody else, and kind of you're a boxing athlete, and 3-0 now as an amateur. Why'd you get into boxing?
So actually, I started with Japanese jiu-jitsu of all things, which I actually enjoyed a lot. I learned a lot of good stuff from that. I feel like it gets a bad rap sometimes, for for functional fighting. There's certain things that work and don't work, and that's up to you to decide what does and doesn't work. It's not up to the martial art. So anyway, what happened was basically my sister and me were getting bullied all the time, and one time a bunch of punks came up and they jumped and beat on my sister. I hope she don't mind me mentioning that. Kick my ass for that. But anyway, so it gets worse for me than it is for her. So anyway, what happened was I went to split them up because a couple of girls went to jump and beat her up, and I was like, whoa, just in the middle of it. And the guy that was about 3 or 4 years older than me, way tougher than me. I was probably 11 years old, 12 years old at this time. He elbowed me in the face. He turned me around and just smoked me with an elbow.
Whoa.
So I'd never been hit before, right? And he's 14-ish, so he's a bit bigger than me and stuff.
Yeah.
I was like, shit, I don't know what to do. And, we're close to my house. And I was like, fuck, I don't want to run and leave her here, but you got to make those choices sometimes, right? So anyway, I bolt and I go get my parents. And anyway, my sister was fine, it was, bump and a scratch, nothing major at all.
Yeah.
But anyway, so...
Wow.
I just remember my dad, he asked me, he said, he had a Taekwondo background, and he said, what'd you do? I said, fuck. I said, I ran. He said, I didn't know what to do. He said, I just remember him saying, he's like, you'll never run again, unless you absolutely have to. And I was like, okay. So then the next week he put me in jiu-jitsu.
Wow.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's a very cool story. And that's
it's typical.
It is. It's an unfortunate thing that bullying is a typical thing why a lot of us are in martial arts, or weird shit that happens to you as kids or even as adults, overcoming things and adversity, and the whole mental aspect of combat sports is kind of like that. And those are stories that make me that kind of, the ones that it's UFC and that kind of thing. That's the cliche one, but the ones that those ones are the ones that to me that really are impactful and what it's really about, truthfully.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like it kind of opened that door for me to start coaching early in a sense, because now when I'm talking to kids about bullying and things like that. Like I've been there, and I completely understand where they're coming from, and it's a touchy subject. We got to be
It
we got to
is.
be careful how we approach it, but we can't. We also can't coddle kids. It's there's something to be said for standing up for yourself, and I learned that after getting into martial arts.
Yeah, I think that's to me that's a huge thing actually. A lot of people, I'm shocked, like, and I say this a lot, and I think some people take it the wrong way, but and I don't necessarily mean it to be super like brute about it, but to me, I'm a big believer of a quick punch in the mouth humbles everybody.
I mean,
Um,
yeah.
like if you're gonna be a dick, I truly believe, man, like if someone just gives you a quick pop in the mouth, not to hurt you, not to like, just like if you're gonna be shooting your mouth off, if you're gonna be an asshole, you like it's. I don't know. That's who I am, and
Yeah.
unfortunately, that's not the way society is, and I totally understand that. But it's it's interesting, man, because like that whole bullying, a lot of people still, as adults, there's still a ton of it.
Oh, absolutely. It's weird. Like adults are almost like they're just big kids, Like I get passive aggressive comments all the time, and I'm thinking like people that are 20 years older than me and stuff, and I'm like, you're really playing this game right now. There's nothing else we could be doing, And I like, what do you want to do this for? Are we fucking kids?
Yeah,
So
totally.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's outrageous, man.
it really is, man. Like it's. But anyway, well, let's talk about some other positive stuff. But that's a. Does your sister do? Is she in combat sports at all, martial arts, or?
No, honestly, she never really took to it, to be honest, man. She's a real outdoors person. She likes to go outdoors and go on hikes, and that's her
Yeah,
thing. But yeah,
nice.
she once I got heavy into it and never stopped because
Good for you,
my old
man.
man having the influence too, that kind of stuck me
Yeah.
to it. Yeah.
Certainly, certainly. That's a huge thing, having those mentors that are already in kind of that scene, and I love that. Um, Memories, man. This was one thing. I saw Josh Presley. He's a very talented black belt at the Titans here in Halifax, and he said something the other day. He's like, this tournament didn't go my way, but I'm making memories, and it just kind of stuck with me. This making memories, man, and win or lose, that's exactly what they are. And for you, you're young in your career. We'll talk a little bit more about that, whether what your career is, where you want to go with it. But what's memories for you so far?
Well, you know what? Actually, I could, jump right into that right now. So basically, like, I do competitive boxing more as a hobby than anything.
Awesome.
The whole, like I said, 3-0 and stuff. Like, eventually you fight enough, you're gonna lose some fights, man. That's just how it is. There's a lot of really
100%.
talented boxers around here. Even the guys that I fought some half decently talented guys, even in the novice.
Yeah.
So man, I just do it more as a hobby. I think coaching is more where my passion lies. I love to sit down and study and just talk about the sport more than anything. I like what you said, where you're like, I don't really like getting punched in the face. I'm like, fuck, neither do I. Like, you ever watch me
Yeah.
fight? My style is very oriented on not
Yeah.
getting hit. Like, I don't want to get hit, man. I'm not in there for blood and guts. And I train with some guys who are like that. And when you see that on a daily basis, you're like, am I that or am I not that? And I know I'm not that. It's
Yeah.
more of a fun hobby than anything because some guys are willing to absolutely die and kill for this. And it's not a game. You don't play boxing. You don't play martial arts.
No, man, you don't. You really don't. Like it's a whole different thing. Like, and I will say, like jujitsu, you can play jujitsu. Like high
Right,
level jujitsu, like you can tap. Like in
right,
boxing, you can't tap.
true.
Like there's no, like I get that the way I look at it, right? Like I don't
Yeah,
know. So
yeah,
it's
I agree.
it's it's fucking crazy to me. Like boxing, man, is in a super intense sport and so competitive and high level. Like it's
Yeah,
fun to
there's
watch.
a lot of.
What? Sorry.
Go ahead, sorry.
No, you go ahead.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say no. Honestly, the way I look at it with like getting hurt and stuff is, the ref. It's only the referee. If he's good, you're usually good. Like I find in the amateurs and stuff, you don't see a lot of guys getting sparked with one punch.
Yeah.
The odd time, you see guys really get hurt, but I find the referees, if they're good, they can definitely help you out and save you from a lot of trauma and kind of live to fight another day type thing.
Which is the key as amateurs. Like we struggle with that a lot. Like a lot of fighters here in MMA, because the rule set in Nova Scotia is if you have under 3 fights, you can't punch on the ground, and you have to wear bigger gloves, and you can't. So you like if you have that your opponent, like you can't ground and pound necessarily
Right.
until you have 3 fights, which I kind of agree with. because it pushes the jiu-jitsu, but B, it's like if the guy has no idea or girl has no idea what they're doing on the ground, and this other person has a huge, first of all, it's shitty matchmaking, but two, it's, they're banging their head off the canvas and they don't know what they're doing, and it's not safe so I do like that rule set, but I also understand how people don't like it.
Yeah, I thought there was a thing with Elite One back in the day where they had, I might be mistaken, but I thought you could only throw straight punches and only from the mount.
That's how Elite One is in that's New Brunswick rules.
Is it? Okay.
So you can throw straight punches, but you can't like do hooks on the ground, but
that's weird though, dude. Because I mean, I feel like you could do a lot of fucking damage with a straight too,
totally, or a hammer fist, like I don't know,
right?
Like
still straight down. I feel like hooks on the ground, don't get me wrong, like anything getting punched on the ground is no fun, but I feel like it's straight. If buddy just straight down, and he pops you, that'd probably be the worst thing to get hit with.
Yeah, anyway, so I don't know, like it's an interesting rule how they're all different. I would love. Because now all the commissions in Canada, because of this whole COVID thing, they're all working together in the MMA commissions across Canada. They're all talking, they're all working together, is what I've been told by a couple of them anyway. And and so hopefully they'll come out of this and be like, man, maybe we should be using the same rule set across the board. Like, Jesus.
It make it easy for the guys who are competing across different provinces, right? Like a lot of these guys do it as a career, and they get as much experience as possible. It's hard in the midst of a fight to try to think of a different rule set. It's like the whole thing with the hands being down, like one hand down, no hands down.
Yeah.
Like you should just fucking knee him in the head. Like it's a fight, bro. Like,
that's the thing. We had big issues with that in our last event because there was confusion on that and about whether it was 3-point contact, 2-point contact, and it was just like this should not be. And I'm not shitting on the commission; they do a great job, but it shouldn't be confusing, right? So, but coming for that's the thing. Like talking about you coaching for a coach, it's confusing. How do you? If it's not written properly, if it's not it doesn't make sense. Then how, as a coach, are you supposed to train your athlete in the right way too, right? Like.
Yeah, no, that's a thing, right? And I mean, I think that's up to the coach too to kind of understand what banner you're fighting under and stuff like that. And I think that's a big. I was going to kind of talk to you about this. Was like, I feel like a lot of coaches kind of off topic, but they train their fighter the same. They just kind of one banner, one way. They don't really adjust to things, and I think that's a big issue. And I think that goes with knowing what promotion you're fighting on too. What's the rules, what can I do, what can I do, what's backstage going to be like,
exactly,
what's the area, all that stuff you should know.
Due diligence.
You're a coach, man. It's not like coaches just show up and they get to bask in the glory sometimes when they just show up and corner the guy. Like,
well, they shit on the promotion, is like a lot of, and I'm not saying in my experience, but a lot of times, like, if their fighter something happens and they get looked bad, it's like, oh, well, I didn't know. It's like, well, fuck. Like when I used to do all these jiu-jitsu tournaments, like people would show up and they'd be mad and yelling and screaming. And I'm like, well, listen, the rules are very well documented out there. Like you're the one who doesn't know the rules. So if you're coming yelling at me, then you're yelling at the wrong person because it's out there. Like you would never go in hockey and like parents would scream and yell and shit. And I'm like, in hockey, you would never go down. Like ever in your life would go down to an arena and some people might go right on the ice and like after the ref and I'm like, in martial arts, you're nuts. Like this person's gonna rip your head off. Like what? But people get brazen, man, and it's crazy.
Yeah.
People get like it's competitive fire. I don't have that competitive fire. I'm just like, okay, you can win. You have the medal.
I don't get too crazy, like especially with like promotion and all that stuff. Like I know that's a tough gig, man. Like even if putting the chairs out and stuff. Like I kind of go into, so when COVID-19 kicked off in March, we were supposed to do a card, and what happened was they have this. It's like I think it's the Home Show. It's called. It's at like a TD station. It's at like our big arena. And stuff. It's a big sale and stuff. So anyway, that was the next day, and our card was the next night, and we were setting the ring up. We had the ring set up totally, and blah, blah, blah. Completely canceled our card like the night before. Like we had everything set up. And
was that with Nathan?
So, Nathan. No, that was this was an amateur card. That was wasn't that the pro card in Moncton?
The pro card, I think, yeah.
Yeah.
So you guys were doing it at TD Station. Wow.
No, they were doing a home show at TD Station, sorry. So when they called us and they said they're canceling the home show, we were like, oh, we're fucked now. And then
I
sure
get
enough,
you.
we got the call a couple hours later that they were going to cancel our card too. And I'm telling you, man, like, uh,
It sucks.
Chris Peters is the head coach at East Coast Boxing there,
Yeah.
and he does a phenomenal job of putting on amateur boxing cards that like the city's never even seen, dude. Like
Awesome.
I've told you, and I tell him, like I've been a nerd for combat sports since I've been a kid, right? So I have a general idea of who's like on the national team and who some of the best boxers and stuff in Canada are. And Chris
Nice.
he'll pay money to fly them all in, save them, keep them here, and just put on the best fights, right? So
Understands
he
it.
had the best card we've.
Nope. Looks like we had a little.
Am I still here? Okay.
Yeah, you're still here. Yeah, you must have phone
Hello?
call or something coming into you.
I think I'm having a little bit of difficulty here.
I can still hear you. There you are.
Yeah, I think I'm on a technical difficulty here, bro.
We're having a little technical difficulties, folks. Stand by. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, dun, dun. Let's try this. You back?
Hello.
How are you, Corey?
There we go. No, man, my bad. That's probably my internet, I'll tell you.
No, man, all good, all good.
So yeah, back to what I was saying there.
You're talking about Chris and his events in.
Yeah, so he had this card we were gonna put on, man. He had like some of the best. Like he had boxers from Detroit matched up against like Team Canada boxers, and like they were gonna like it was just gonna be man, like guys with 60 fights fighting like 5 fights into a 14 fight card, 14.
Wow.
Yeah, like just crazy, dude. And
Good
I
for
was like,
him.
yeah. So he does what he can to absolutely grow the sport around here, and he's the one who actually gave me my due diligence in coaching and stuff. I actually had an amateur fight down in beautiful Glace Bay, Nova Scotia. Shout out to Glace Bay, Nova Scotia.
Beauty. Yeah, like the pads,
7 hours away from where we're at.
It is.
But yeah, it's pretty far, bro. So anyway, we drove down there and had a fight down there, and got the win and stuff. And then I just, I have a problem with performing in front of the crowd, like
I hear
in the
you.
gym, man, I feel great. Like I spar well against some of the best guys, and then I just get out there and I can't get my fucking head on straight. And it's something I'm very honest about, something me and Chris have talked about and stuff like that. And that's kind of where I made the switch to kind of, start pursuing boxing more as a hobby and more for fun. Just because I was like, that's part of it is performing under the lights, man. You can spar and hit pads all you want, but if you can't fight under the lights, and I'm not gonna put myself down and say, oh, you could totally never.
No,
fight
but
under the
it's
lights
honesty, right? It's just
absolutely, it's something I struggle with. We all struggle with certain stuff, especially as athletes. So anyway, we had a talk after my third fight there, and he basically just said, man, like if I know you like to nerd out, so if you want to be a coach, man, like you can be my assistant and start training some of my fighters too. Yeah, it was super cool, man. So then I've been kind of taking that and running with it ever since.
very cool. I've always heard really good things about Chris. I've never actually officially met him, but I've seen lots of his social media and random footage and like the fighters that he's brought in through the years, like world class, like really high level fighters to fight. And I love that kind of stuff, man. Like everything he does seems to be really high level, and that's the stuff that's going to grow people. Like it's unfortunate in this day and age because people are quick to judge. Like when I say that, I mean like as in like they see the UFC on TV and then they go to a Fight League Atlantic or Elite One event and they expect it to be the exact same. Do you know what I mean? Like so it's if you're marketing and if you're like if your stuff is not on par, you're still going to get your random like people out to event, but it's not going to grow. And it's not. And that's what people look at. Like for athletes, if they're represented well, like if they're getting good video footage, if they're getting photos, if they're getting stuff back in return for a good performance, it all adds up, in my opinion.
Right, absolutely. And you
Right.
know, that's the thing is the quality of what you put on. And by the way, like I seen your guys' last card. It was really good, and I can't wait for the
Thank you,
next
man.
one. I find you guys did a good job of mixing like young local talent with guys like Jesse Arnett fighting Adam McDougal. Like so, shout out Adam McDougal.
What a
He came
stud.
to our gym. Yeah, he came to our gym to. I've been watching the fight probably since his first or second pro fight. I always meet these guys and I'm like, bro, I've watched you fight 15 times. They're like, what the
Yeah.
fuck? I'm like, yeah, man, no word of a lie. So anyway, he came to the gym there to fight with Christian and prep for his last fight on Fight
Yeah.
Pass. And what a nice guy, man, and super high
Very.
level, takes coaching well. I never met the guy in my life, and he went over to Chris and said to Chris, he's like, man, that guy knows what he's talking about. Makes me feel good, right? Because
Very
I
good.
look up to some of these guys, as fighters and stuff, and I'm like, oh, all right,
Yeah.
it makes me
Makes you
feel
feel
good getting
good,
good
man.
advice.
When you're doing
Right.
that kind of
But
you're
yeah,
sorry.
honestly though, that matchup with him and like their experience wasn't on par, but like when the eye test, you watch Adam McDougal fight, he is high level dude and he's a risk
Oh man.
taker. He goes for it. Like he's a fighter's fighter, man. There's nothing wrong with putting that guy in with a really good fighter. And that was great experience
No.
for him. Nothing wrong with that.
No. They took it and they tried to set that match up before too out west. I think it was either Unified or BFL. I'm not sure who it was, but it didn't happen. But so they
Okay.
approached us. Jesse kind of contacted us and Adam, like Andy Young, who's coach, kind of contacted, and it's weird that it just kind of came together. And I agree 100%. Like he put Jesse through, at the very first, like he got him, he kicked him pretty hard and busted up his eye a little bit, and then Jesse used that super like talent and veteran experience and just kind of weathered the storm and got the win. But Jesse had a rough week too. It was a really great fight, man. Like both of them had a rough week coming into it too, and neither said a word. Like both really classy pro fighters, man.
Yeah, absolutely. And
Makes
that's
my
like I said, like
job a lot easier.
yeah, and and that like you said there about that veteran experience, man, that pays dividends. Like that's a big thing, and that's a big key I think is, if I wasn't taking fighting as a hobby, I'd be like, what the fuck are you doing? Like you fought 3 times in 3 years, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you gotta go get experience, you gotta fight, you gotta take
Hmm.
those losses, roll with the punches and kind of go with the flow,
Yeah.
you got to take the experience, man. And people are scared to take losses, scared to get beat up. I get
Yeah.
you're scared to get beat up. Don't get me wrong. But
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah. But that's the
sometimes, man,
sport
like
you're in too, right? Like,
it's a 50-50, man. There's a winner and a loser. And if you've been on the side of winning, I almost feel like, it's your due diligence to lose.
for
It's your
sure.
part of the sport to be on the other side and to feel
Yeah.
those emotions and stuff, man.
Well,
Because,
you look at like
it's not easy.
a kid who like plays for the like St. John Sea Dogs, for example. By the time he gets to the NHL, he's probably lost 1,000 games of hockey in his life. You
Yep,
know what I mean? Before he's even made
absolutely.
he's probably had shoulder surgery. And now you've got to a pro level, and now you're starting now shit's real. Like
Right.
really, you can erase everything that happened. Not erase it. Like that's tons of experience, but now it's a clean slate,
Right.
right? To stay there. We lose you again?
Somebody was giving me a phone call there. I don't know who it was,
Okay.
but
No
you're
worries,
not
no
getting
worries.
in, bro. Not today.
How was training Christian? Obviously he had a rough go there in that fight. I thought he looked good, man. He's a tough opponent. Christian's a stud, but he's took the loss well. I'm proud of him.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, man. And I only got to try once or twice.
You're popular, man. It happens.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Somebody wants to get a hold of me real bad. Some
No
reason
worries.
I don't know. Hope it's not the cops.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I only got to train him once or twice leading up to it. I remember I was holding pads for him, and we did like a kind of like a 50-50 session, like 2.5 minutes of him striking, and then 2.5 minutes of like a national level wrestler that was like 20 pounds heavier than him. Just wrestling him, throwing him around, and then he would get up and like hit pads just to kind of get the
Okay.
grappling, like to have your arms all full of blood and to have the transition from being grappling, like we knew Basel. I don't want to mispronounce his
Yeah.
name. I knew he
Yeah,
was
Basel.
really good grappler.
Yeah.
So we were, trying to prepare for that, and to be able to strike when your arms are tired and you've had to grapple, it was a big key. But he looked good. Like training camp, he looked amazing. He was saying yes to every fight he could get. Like he
Yeah, he
wasn't.
was. He's
He
high
really
level,
was.
man. Very high level fighter, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like he. That's the
I'm proud
thing
of him.
too. Yeah,
Like not every,
absolutely.
that's just fuck. It's like we were just talking about losses, and it's right now is a shitty time. Like you have to go. He could have said no, again,
When you get a fight
sat
again.
here and fought here, like he could have been careful and been like, oh, here again, I'm going to fight for Elite One or FLA or whatever. He took the risk, and hey, man, that's part of the sport, and you hold your head high,
It's
right?
experience. It's
That's it.
experience. A lot he can take from that fight too. There's silver linings in every fight, even in a fight where you lose. Like for example, I don't want to take credit for this, but I remember we were talking and I told him, I said, dude, in the first 10 seconds, I'm like, you got to come out and blast a head kick. I'm like, let him know
Yeah.
he's in a fight right away. I said, you might even draw a shot out of him. And sure enough, man, like I said, I take no credit for that. He comes out and he just whips a switch kick, and
He
I was like,
did too.
holy shit,
Yeah.
man! Like, and that's
Yeah.
the thing, is he is super high level. Like there's no shame in taking a loss at the level that he's
No.
fighting at now. And I said to him, I'm like, dude, when you're 16-1 and he's 16-2 and you're smashing people on a 5-6 fight win streak in the UFC, nobody even gonna remember. Like that's not.
No,
That's how
man.
MMA is, man. Like people just, the losses are. It's not
It's
boxing.
different. No, it's no one cares. Like, how many people are world champions in the UFC with losses? They all have losses. Like, it's just a
Exactly.
different, and that's like going back to amateur too. And it's hard for me because there's probably people out there going, "Fuck him, he doesn't know, he's never good in there," which is true, But I've trained enough where, to me, and I know enough behind the scenes where to me it's like the amateur really doesn't matter. Like in MMA, like it's gonna switch, and as soon as you become pro, then that's what people are looking at. Look at the Contender Series. Like no one gives a shit. Like people could have went 7-14 in their amateur career, but now they're 7-0 as a pro. That's all that matters, and that's why they're
Right.
getting the shot, right? Like
Right.
so,
Absolutely.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm glad he did it. I'm glad he took the opportunity, and he got out of some really fucking tough. That was a really tight
Oh,
armbar, man.
that was tough to watch, dude. I'll tell you, like being a friend and a coach of his and stuff,
Yeah,
like I'm watching because I did a bit of jujitsu and stuff, and I've had people yank on my arm, and I know how it kind of feels. And I was watching, and I'm like, the Kimura, I was like, I thought it was locked, to be honest.
yeah,
He bring
yeah.
that out, man, and got out. And then the armbar, he actually commented on that. He made a post about it. I think it was called the Hitchhiker Escape. I don't
Yeah, the
want to
Hitchhiker
butcher that.
Escape. I
I
did see his post on it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd never even heard of that.
No, it
And
was
then I
great
went
escape,
back and
man.
watched the fight, and I was like, "Holy smokes!" And
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
yeah, no, there was definitely some silver linings there. But
Yeah.
Christian's very competitive. He's not sitting on the throne of silver linings. He's gonna get back in the gym, and I wouldn't want to be the guy fighting him next.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oof. Yeah. Yeah. I
yeah,
don't.
he's
I don't know, man. Well, hopefully, it's interesting to see what'll happen because will Cage Fury have him back? I would think they would. If not,
yeah.
he might be fighting here. Who knows, right? So I would have liked to see him in that bracket, man. I really would have. Though we
Oh,
lost him in that bracket we had there, but
speaking of that, that's some high level grapplers there, guys. I've never really heard of as much. The guy who won it, Drake. I don't know how to
Drake,
pronounce his last name.
yeah,
Holy
Farrell,
smokes,
it's a
dude! I've
stud.
never heard of him. Disrespect, saying I'm a big nerd in the combat sports game, but who he grappled? Kalidas and that
Yeah,
Ali fella
Joel,
on the way, and Joel. Yeah,
Abdal, Jeremy Henry, Kalidas, Abdel, and then Joel. Yeah,
like
yeah, it
just
took.
murderer's row to get to the fucking
Yeah,
title. And yeah,
yeah.
and he's a
It's
stud.
he's only like 20, maybe 19 or 22. Like that's the thing. Like for me, like I'm 40 now, and I go and I roll with, and I'm just like, oh my god. Like for me, survival now is a big thing. Like when everyone's so young now and big, but it's fun, man. When you can look at like Drake's been competing for me. He's probably competed like 5 or 6 times now, and he's
Wow.
grown so much through his career with Kent and Zombie Proof down there, and now he's up training with Jared, my club in Pictou County, and Merrimack and Truro a little bit, and he's just a great kid, and I'm happy. It's Joel's pretty talented too, and it was a tough fight, but Drake, he won, man, very well.
Is Joel the guy who grappled against judo? John Williams?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. He's good too.
Yeah.
Very
He
high
is.
level as
He's
well.
really. There's a lot of men like the scene here is super high level scene. Like, and I'm not gonna say Submission Series took credit for it because Peter Martell and Shane Rice and Kevin Taylor and all these guys, Ray McKinnon and all these people have been doing it forever on the East Coast. Who started this kind of thing. Without them, none of this shit would be possible. It's just that simple for me. So, but I think it's grown a lot and jiu-jitsu, man, it's fun. Some people, it's interesting. Not everybody likes another man between their crotch, but
yeah, I don't get out of here with all that shit.
Yeah,
that's the thing. It's like I started with a kind of a grappling background, so I what happened was I was a pretty big kid, believe it or not. I was like 5'11", like 180 pounds at like 12 years old, 13
What are you,
years
6'4" now? Are you 6'4"?
No, I'm 6'2".
6'2".
Yeah. And
That's
anyway, so
kid,
like,
though.
yeah, big ass kid, and like it was weird because I was kind of fat and I hit a growth spurt, and then I was like a baby deer, like I had no coordination over my body, like I was trying to play basketball and stuff, and like I was terrible, bro. It was not good. So anyway, it was just by weight back then. It was like 2000 and. I sound like an old days. And way back in the day, it was probably like 2006-ish.
Yeah.
So anyway, it was just kind of, go grapple with the guy that was your weight. So I used to grapple with these guys who were like legit adult judo black belts, and they would just fucking manhandle me, and I couldn't do anything.
For you.
Yeah, well, no, they were good to me. Don't make me make them out to sound like dicks. They were good to me, but they were also getting their work in, right? And I was always and I was like, whatever. But it's something to be said for going for an hour and not being able to do shit, like nothing, like not shrimp and get an underhook and try to work a triangle, anything, dude. Like they would just manhandle me, mount me when they wanted to, and
good for you though.
Yeah, I stuck in, man. About 3 years, I would go. Basically every day was like that. And
awesome.
Yeah, and
very
honestly,
cool, man.
It's humbling. It's good for you.
It is.
It really is. Like just
that's
to
what
know,
I tell everybody. Like it's what humbles and makes me love it so much. Like I went and competed against judo there last, I don't know when, and like I gassed out and I lost to judo, and you come out of it knowing like what you can do better, right? And it's just like the sport gives you so much back, man. It's just like this always learning, always fun, kind of like, but the like going to the humbling thing, I guess. Sorry, I don't know where that came from, that little tidbit, but like a humbling thing, like when you're able to hold someone down, or like I say that to people all the time, like you have no idea what you're talking, like you have no idea if you're like a random person and you get in like, and you have no idea about like, you're fucked. Like you're really.
It was a statistic. It said something like the average male overestimates his ability to fight by 700%. I said, that's about accurate. You hear these guys, and it's like, holy fuck, dude! Like you clearly have never been in there and been like, oh wow, like wide-eyed, like this is different. There's something about that. It's like you're like, this is different. And honestly, sometimes you got to do that to guys in the gym that aren't even bad guys, like just guys going a little bit too hard. And then what you kind of do is, I don't ever like want to try to beat anybody up in the gym or, give anybody head trauma, but basically try to like make it so they can't hit me, can't do shit, like not piece them up and bruise them up. But put a little hurting on them and make sure they feel like, oh my God, like I can't do anything. What's he going to do next? And then what I say to them at the end is, you see what I just did to you? There's people out there that can do that to me. And there's people out there that can do that to them. And, there's levels to this, man.
It's
so you need
levels.
to understand that you're on the totem pole and you're somewhere on there. And, it's up to you to understand where you're at. And I don't want to say act accordingly, but I think we should all act accordingly,
100%,
man. All be
goes back to that
first.
Jab in the mouth thing, like, and that's the beautiful thing about combat sports. Like when someone's going a little hard, you're like, all right, cool. Let's do this. You're like, okay, and I'm going to match their level and see what happens. Right. But in real life, you just can't do that kind of stuff. So man, I think that's, well, that's a whole fucking different podcast for sure.
Yeah, that's right.
Man, yeah, it is, dude. Yeah. What about mentors? People that, inside other than Chris, or outside, I guess, that have kind of keep you motivated in this whole thing? People that like during that struggle where you're like, do I want to do this or do I want to do this as a hobby? Like, who do you talk to? Oh, I got a question there before. Sorry. Shit.
Yeah, no, it's all good.
There's two fellas having those.
Oh, I hate this question.
I'll let you take that one.
Thanks. I think you should be able to do what you love. And if you're not getting hurt, then, I don't think you should tune in to, Mike Tyson and Roy Jones fighting in 2020 and say, oh, I'm watching the baddest man on the planet, fight Roy Jones and like, he's going to try to knock him out and all this. It's respect for them doing their art. It's like Da Vinci with a paintbrush. Don't know if I fucked that. Da Vinci's a painter, right? I didn't fuck that up. No, we're good.
Michelangelo,
okay.
maybe.
Right,
I don't know. Sure.
Any of them, right? So to watch them perform their art, I could definitely appreciate, and I like, and I don't think anybody should have that taken away from them. But I also think there's something to be said for getting punched in the head, and where it is boxing. But like what I seen from that, I thought it was okay. Like I was like, if they did that, that's there's nothing wrong with that. And people who were tuning in expecting blood and guts, like I don't
think many people were too, man. No. Like you looked at. I think people fool me once with Connor and Floyd, fool me twice, my own fault. Or what that line is. But fool. I don't. And I think most people like that. They did very well in pay-per-views. I think they broke 1 million pay-per-view buys. Yeah, and I think a lot of it was people like exactly like you just said, respect, like people who are like, cool, I want to tune in and watch these two legends just kind of have if they're just sparring, like DC said, he's like, I don't care what they're doing, if they're just sparring, man, I'm gonna pay for that, no question.
Absolutely, yeah, for sure, man. It's like when you see two high-level guys in the gym, like a lot of the time the whole gym will stop and watch, if we're not doing something too important, like that's one. Like usually when Chris starts sparring, beating everybody up in the gym. At 44 years old, shout out to Chris. Everybody kind of like tunes in because he's very, he's very technical, very good at what he does. It's like watching
by watching.
Work. Yeah,
that's absolutely. It. Like you can, like a lot of people learn that way visually, just watching other people. Like it's like look how much shit is online now that you can learn everything. Like they used to say. Yeah,
I was fortunate. Yeah, oh, absolutely, man. So like. I'm 24, and a lot of the time, like I find a lot of like well-renowned coaches and good coaches are a bit older and have a lot more experience, and I feel like having the internet to study and to learn from people that, I don't have to be right in a room with Henry Hoof to learn, how Henry Hoof holds pads, and just there's something to be said for that. So like when people come in the gym, they're like, oh, I've been watching YouTube videos. Most times people are like, oh, fucking YouTube videos. But me, I'm like, good, dude.
Well, they're doing better. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll show you some shit. You go home, keep watching YouTube videos, and like I always like this saying. I say to people, I don't want to claim this as my own, copyright infringement or something. But I always say like, I just hand you the canvas and the paintbrush, and you paint the picture. I'll give you the tools, and it's your expression. You do whatever you want to do.
Yeah, that's like more Da Vinci. You're like the East Coast Da Vinci.
I can barely draw a stick figure. But
that's all right. Teaching the athletes to draw left hooks, man, right hooks.
That's right. Yeah.
I love all the painting. I love it. Are you a painter or something? Are you painting in your family or what?
Oh man, no. Just the vibe tonight, I guess.
Just a creative vibe, dude. Good for you. Yeah. I love it, man. I love it. Positivity, man. It breeds other positivity, and it's super important to have people like you around in the gym, outside the gym, doing your thing, man. Like. I always love that. Like I kick back to when I first walked in, and people like Dan Vanderland's was like, hey, or or Kitsen's very like the people who are just like constantly giving you positive feedback, man. And like, how can't that make you feel good, right? That's where people want to be.
Yeah, in combat sports, that's the thing. Is probably the best camaraderie environment I've ever been around, and that's what is a misconception is. Fighters and boxers and grapplers are some of the misfits that were bullied at school, the nice kids who just didn't want to be picked on, right? So when we're all in the gym, like I just find there's no place I'd rather be in terms of like people I want to talk to and be around with no anxiety, like with what I say. Like
Yeah.
we're just kind of being ourselves and able to hang out, and then we get in there and beat the shit out of each other, and then we are even nicer to each other. It's such a weird, it's a weird thing, but yeah, it's if anybody's scared to join a combat sports gym because you think there's gonna be muscled up assholes there, they don't last. Not at a good gym.
It's very true, man. It's very true. They don't last. Yeah. That's it. They get weeded out real quick.
Yeah, it's weird.
There's
guys in there that don't look like it, man. But the killers and the muscly guys they'll want to fucking ride the ride. Good luck, bro.
Yeah, it's a different. And like I always say too, it's like it takes a lot of oxygen to move those muscles, man. You know, like it's one thing to be in shape, but you get moving around for a minute and a half. It's a different thing. So. Yeah, it's interesting, man. Well, keep it up. Before we get going here, you're involved in football as well. So obviously giving back and working with youth is a big thing for you, whether it's coaching, not just boxing, but also football. How'd you get into that side of the things?
That's another cliche story, I guess. So basically, like I played other sports like basketball and rugby all through high school and stuff. And then when I was in grade 12, I had a buddy who was a quarterback for the football team asked me to go out and play running back for them.
Yeah.
I was like, sure. So then they had brought in a new coach that year, and he was a bit younger. Like I think he's only a couple of years older than me, and we'd actually become like super good friends. Travis McKenzie, shout out Travis McKenzie. He's still
nice.
Like one of my best friends, if not my best friend to this date. And anyway, the next following year, he had asked me, like I ended up making the All-Star team for New Brunswick and stuff. And are you a painter or something? I'm gonna get the gears from the paint stuff now.
There you go. But Benjamin Morrell.
Yeah, that's right. Let's go. I'm gonna paint the Mona Lisa and fucking put it behind me. It's just me sitting there. So anyway, I ended up doing real well when I played football that one year. It was literally just give me the ball and I'll run. Like I was a pretty good athlete, so I found the end zone a few times and stuff, not knowing how to play football at all. And he brought me in to coach. He said basically, like you're good at running the ball, refine your coaching skills, and then just come in as a running back coach. And I did, and that's been 6 years, man. I was like 18 when I started coaching that, and I haven't looked back since. And so that's actually
very cool.
So I started coaching there, and then I've been involved in combat sports like my whole life. And then when that door opened with Chris, then I was like, shit, I'll start coaching boxing and combat sports too, because that's like my love. And I've actually found a huge love for football too, man. To be honest with you, like it's when it's football season, it's hard for me to put the remote down. And even just drawing up plays, playing around, being a student of coaching. That's a big thing. You got to research as a coach, man, because the game's constantly changing. Like you look at grappling, like guys like Khabib, like people weren't doing Shemaya, people weren't doing that to people 5-10 years ago. Not really.
No, man. These guys, not like GSP, but was pretty dominant with his timing and stuff, but not like that. Like not like to the point like he'd hold you down and just fucking like
that's
what
a
Khabib
scary
does.
thing, bro. That's like there's something that's scary enough when somebody can get on your back and fucking choke you out, but like there's something when somebody can put you in a crucifix and beat the shit out of you. What can you do from there?
At that level, that's a scary thing to me. It's like these guys are all so good, girls and guys at that level. They're all that good, and someone's able to do that.
Right. Yeah.
What's going to come out of it?
Look at what Khabib did to Gaethje. That was crazy. Like I picked Gaethje to beat Tony Ferguson before he beat him, and he did. He went out and smoked him. And then I was like, Gaethje's gonna have a real good chance against Khabib. I swear, man, I was on the Gaethje train. I was gonna go out and put a few bucks on him. Good thing I didn't.
Yeah.
And, anyway, man, I was watching the first round, and he came out. He was sweaty, which I liked. I was like, okay, so he's ready for the early grappling. He's nice and wet and slippery. And I liked how he was in a low stance and stuff, kicking his legs. But then as soon as they hit the fucking ground, I was like, who goes for a fucking triangle from the mount? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
did you see the article? He said because Justin's parents were there in the front row, and he said I had the triangle. I had it because what did he have, armbar first, or then he switched to the triangle, didn't he?
He said he didn't want to hurt him, didn't he?
He didn't want to break his arm in front of his mom, so he fucking switched to the triangle or something. Just an
Something to be said
absolute
about that when
animal.
you're
Yeah.
trying to, you're trying to fucking kill somebody and you're like, all
I
right,
was trying to
well,
get a pay-per-view stream running, and then everybody ran out of the back room and was like, "Did you see that?" And I'm like, "No, I'm a little bit busy here trying to run this pay-per-view, get
would you
that
guys
going."
had
And
your
like
event the same day?
the same day we started at 6:30, so we waited until that was over and then started. So because that started at like 3 p.m.
Right.
So then everyone was
Yeah.
like, "You see it?" And I was like, "No, I'm doing this." Like, "Oh well, Khabib won. It was crazy." I'm like, "Fuck, like you assholes."
I was
Anyway.
TVRing that for later.
Yeah, that's exactly it, man. But all right,
Yeah.
buddy. Well, we got to get going. I want to thank you so much for joining us, dude. And hopefully we can get you on again. Anytime you want to talk shop, I'd love to have you back on. And it's nice when people like to chat because sometimes it's just like, it's not so chatty. Lots of painters on here, lots of Bob Rosses that aren't talkative.
That's
So
right.
it's but that's the beauty of this kind of thing, right? Because it's like some people aren't so confident, and it was like me when I first started doing it. And it's nice to, we're all kind of stuck in this goddamn COVID thing together. We can't do anything. So the more, you can get comfortable in front of a mic for anybody who's an up and coming fighter or whatever, it all helps, right? So
Absolutely.
that's the
Yeah,
way I
man.
look at it, man.
Yeah, this has been a great time, honestly. And I just want to point out this was my first interview ever, and I did not fucking sweat as bad as I thought I was
No,
doing.
but you
We're
did great.
talking
You did
about something I like, so it's
That's
easy.
it, dude. It makes a
So,
difference, right? So any final shout outs, man?
like I said, man, shout out Chris Peters, East Coast Boxing. Shout out St. Malachy's Memorial Saints football team, Travis McKenzie. And it's two of my big mentors in this coaching game. And shout out Fight League Atlantic, man. Thanks so much for having me. If you ever got a slow week, I'm always here, brother. Always ready.
There we do it. I love it, man.
Yeah.
We'll talk soon. Thanks for joining us. Corey
Sounds
Morrell.
good.
See you, buddy.
Thanks, bro. See you later.
Awesome. Fantastic. A great up and coming talent, folks. A coach at East Coast Boxing. Great interview brought to our friends Maritime Madness. Check them out online. Over 30 flavors, hot sauces, rubs, not back rubs, rubs for meat. Fuck, that didn't sound good either. Meat rub. Check them out online, maritimemadness.com. All right, folks. Lots of love. Be kind. Be good to one another. It's a holiday season. Not just because it's the holiday season. Be good to one another, of course, anyway. But pay it forward. Lots of love. See ya.